elsewhere in that existing planning document is a glossary of several hundred terms and concepts. All of those glossary definitions aren't present necessarily in this particular plan change document before you at the moment. So when read in context, this plan change and its content will hopefully make sense when it's merged in with its more substantive parent document. Another thing to bear in mind is that many of the terms and concepts have been passed down from the RMA itself or from national policy statements. Some of those NPSs each have required accompanying implementation guidance type documents to better interpret what the heck they mean. And as I referred to in response to Councillor Scott's questions earlier, there will still be some questions arising when we come to implement these things at the coalface. Coalface being in a resource consent application or during the preparation of a regional plan change for a particular catchment or a particular issue. So I certainly don't profess to have absolute gospel interpretation here in this document right now.
Chairman, with your indulgence, could I just, if you like, focus my concern even just one more time, and if I could take you to that paragraph 188 on page 150 on page 57, the bottom of the page 57.
I don't have the agenda page numbers,
sorry,
so what's the numbering on the top?
The page 39. It's paragraph 188. At the bottom, at the bottom of that statement there, the officer's reply proposed the following wording to take account of the comments, and at the bottom it says plans provide clear priorities for the the regional policy statement and the regional plan provides clear priorities for the protection and use of these freshwater resources. Now, I'm assuming that those priorities are those that are contained in the table 1, which I referenced before. Is that correct?
The starter, yes. Yep.
Now, within those primary priorities, you've got competing priorities. So well, the question is, when you ultimately come to interpret and apply the plan change, how will you know which is the priority value?
We don't, and that's why we're setting up many collaborative stakeholder groups to have those hard discussions.
Okay, just seems we don't really know where we're going.
But what change 5 has been trying to do is for the council to make the first call on what some offsetting of values might well be, but accepting that there is still within those two offsets, primary, secondary values, there is still some conflicts or tensions between 2 or more primary values. How do we reconcile that? That's where the stakeholder discussions do come to the fore.
Can I just come back to an overarching observation which may help clarify this, that this is a policy statement, that the particular plan changes will have the detail of that, and that's what is being worked through with the collaborative stakeholder groups. Don't know whether that helps clarify it for Councillor Curtin.
He does raise a point though. Any other questions? Someone happy to move? And that Councillor Scott, you wish to second, you wish to speak?
Because it sounded as if I was being critical and I was raising 2 issues that concerned me with regard to the actual legal status of changing something that hadn't been submitted on. But I do actually congratulate the Commissioners on an extremely thorough and a very good job. This will obviously get tested through the Environment Court. That's the way it does with plans. And I really look forward to seeing what the response is to that. But the report is very, very thorough. I think it's one of the most thorough plan reports I've read for this council. and an enormous amount of work has gone into it. And I think that as much as possible it has pulled together a huge range of diverse opinions in the community to try and come up with something that really represents an overarching policy statement for the Hawke's Bay region. So I commend the report and I congratulate those who did the hard work.
We want to endorse those words, Mr. Chairman. It was an immense amount of work went into this report, and I concur that I think the commissioners did an excellent job in the hearing, and I think that all those involved should be acknowledged for the effort that they put into it.
Mr. Chairman, there's certainly no criticism at all of the processes and the energy and the efforts gone in, both by commissioners and staff. I would make the comment, though, that it appears as though we're either the masters of our own destiny, that is, we're shaping plans and policies and approaches with a lack of precision. I don't mean that in the negative of that the plans, the resulting plans are so imprecise and so open to interpretation, and then we default to the Environment Court to resolve the issues. It worries me that we can't take a more straight line and consistent approach in producing these documents. So they are very clear and they're very stepped processes. I'm not sure whether it's the Act itself, the RMA, that's driving this, and government policy statements around it that are driving this huge energy that's needed to resolve these issues. I'm just wishful thinking. I think that there ought to be a better way than this, and greater clarity could result, but that's just my view of the world.
Wish to sum up?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The lack of precision in a policy statement is never surprising. It's an overarching direction. The precision comes in the plans and in the rules. And I guess we call it a plan change, it's a policy statement change. And the policy statement is the overarching instrument that sets the direction and the guidance for the plans. And I think this particular policy statement is saying quite clearly that the plans will be catchment based, looking up at the different values of each of the catchments. Do, however, congratulate Councillor Curtin on picking up some of the inconsistencies in describing biodiversity, and I guess we have to be more strict in trying to think of a more encompassing and single way of describing it in future, so that we're not ending up with a plethora of different meanings and descriptions as to when we're trying to go in the one direction. So perhaps we'll be more careful in keeping a single terminology when it comes to the plan changes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Well, I'll put that motion then. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Let's break for 10 minutes, please, and come back in the Makara scheme. This will be another straightforward discussion.